Spring can be a crazy time in the bee yard, and our Atlantis hive decided it was their turn to prove that true. Our Atlantis hive had become a little aggressive as of late, and more than one casual trip to the bee yard without a veil on resulted in me looking a bit like a prize fighter for a couple of days. Today they were acting a little bit extra strange, so it was time to go in and take a look around. Many things can happen coming into spring. The queen is under a lot of stress, and it's not impossible for her to just drop dead and the hive end up being queenless. And considering the disorder that was going on in this hive, that was certainly a possibility. Not the only possibility, though. We wanted to see if there was the big three: a laying queen, brood, and food. Certainly we didn't want this to be a signal of starvation, but there was something going on with this hive, and it was time to take a look. If we weren't able to determine that anything was wrong, then you wait a week and look again. And again, you're looking for brood, and you're looking for food. If they become overly aggressive, then you have to think along the lines of requeening, so to change the genetics of the hive. But we weren't quite at that place yet. There had also been a significant change in the weather. Prior to this week, we'd had highs in the 50s and 60s, but today it was in the 80s. This hive still had an entrance reducer on set to a small size, so it's also possible they simply were getting boxed up in the hive and wanted to come out basically to breathe. So we would change the reducer to the larger setting. But the key is there's 5 hives here, 3 of them are well established, and the other 2 well established hives weren't acting this way. Of course, the other 2 well established hives also had their entrance reducers changed already, but this had been a weak hive, so we hadn't changed it. Well, it wasn't weak anymore.
That's a drone brood.
Drone brood can indicate that they want to supersede their queen or maybe even swarm. Not necessarily, though. Again, spring drone buildup is very common.
And lots of worker brood. Oh my! Suddenly these guys are boiling.
I was starting to get the feeling that this was just a population buildup. Too many bees in too small a space, even though they really didn't look, packed.
Okay. Any further? I'm going to move this guy. Maybe swap the top and the bottom. Even though it's not really that type of hive. The amount of bees that we have on the inner cover is somewhat bizarre. But what does the bottom feel like? Bottom has a lot of weight. Come on, girls. Come on, girls. Wow, look at that pollen and nectar. Old brood, young brood, this hive is exploding.
I decided my short-term strategy was going to be to just throw a blank honey super on them. We'll see if that calms them down. If a week from now they're still acting bizarre, then obviously that experiment didn't work. It certainly didn't look like they were calling for a honey super. You didn't see the whitening at the top of the frames and all the frames drawn out from one end to the other. But this was a very simple, fast solution, and we'll see what happens.
They have a ridiculously explosive growth going on. So girls, it's like this.
It was time to move on and see if our packaged queens started laying. After all, they were the newbies.
I do believe I see larvae and eggs. This is wonderful.
The continual buzzing you hear are still bees from the first hive that followed the camera and myself over to this package. This package was quite calm, but that first hive was still a little feisty.
Yep. Okay. Well, that's fine. Our package has a laying queen. Probably remove the shim, but things are a little hot right now. This inner cover has a little bit of a vent on it. Look at our second package. Again, not much activity on the pollen patty. I still have bees from that first hive down here. There's something very much annoying that hive. Not sure what it is. Bee bread. I believe I see jelly in the cells. And possibly young larvae. Again, this hive is calm. The bees that are buzzing about me now are still from that first Atlantis hive. But I think these guys are happy, and I do believe I'm seeing jelly. I didn't see any capped, but then again, we're only 14 days out. Assuming the queen was shaken from moving. Sometimes they don't lay immediately, but I think she is laying. I think what I was looking at was indeed eggs and larvae. Just not too developed yet. The first colony had a great amount of disorder on it, but also had a ton of young bees and larvae. I think that's going to be it for today.